Hello everybody, welcome back to Bandwagon Sports, and today we are going to be going over my 2021-22 NHL Central Division predictions. I did the Atlantic Division a couple days ago, and here I am with the Central. The next one will be the Metro, and the final one will be the Pacific. So, without further ado, let's hop in to the 8th place team. So coming in here at number 8, unfortunately, has to be the Arizona Coyotes. The newest team in the Central Division is also going to be the worst. Obviously, with Seattle coming into the NHL, one team from the Pacific had to move over to the Central, and that team was the Arizona Coyotes. So it's really not even close in my eyes. I think Arizona is just a last-place team. Some standout players to look forward to, though. Guys like Clayton Keller, Barrett Hayton, Christian Dvorak, Dmitry Yaskin, who kind of resurged his career over in the KHL. He's coming in to Arizona. Let's see what he can do. Lawson Krause. They acquired Connor Timmins from the Avalanche in the Darcy Kemper trade. Jacob Chychrun obviously had a great year last year. Victor Soderstrom should be playing. And the goaltending core is really not good with guys like Carter Hutton and Joseph Korenar probably making the top two on that goaltending core. So really, I don't see a good season out of the Coyotes. I'm really predicting a bottom 5 finish for this team, unfortunately. But who knows? Maybe they'll surprise me. Maybe the offense will step up. Maybe Carter Hutton has a resurgence here and Korenar plays well. But there's a lot of things that really have to go right for this team to even get out of this last place spot, let alone move up in the standings considerably. So as it stands right now, Arizona's the last place team in the Central. So let's move on to place number 7. So just a quick disclaimer, from spots 7 to 3, it is a very tough decision. Even 7 to from 2, it is so tough. This team is so strong this year. This division, sorry. But the Central is always strong. So in 7th place, I have the Nashville Predators. I do see them having a pretty good year. Probably not better than last year, but still a decent year. Being headlined by guys like Philip Forsberg, Eli Tolvanen, who's a young up-and-coming guy for the Predators, Luke Kunin, Cody Glass, who's newly acquired from the Golden Knights, Philip Tomasino, who should break into the lineup, Matthew Olivier, he looks pretty good as well. Yakov Trenin, just a lot of good young guys. And on the defensive side of things, you have Felipe Myers, who is a newly acquired defenseman from the Philadelphia Flyers. You got Alexander Carrier, who's pretty good. Dante Fabro, just a lot of good young talent on this defensive core. And they also re-signed UC Saros to a new $5 million extension. So he's going to really be playing for that money. I think UC Saros is going to have one hell of a year this year. But yeah, Nashville, just a decent team. I just see the teams ahead of Nashville having a little bit more talent and a little bit more depth than these guys. But overall, still a good team. Definitely a team that's going to look good in the next 2-3 seasons. But at this point in time, I have them finishing 7th. So let's move on to place number 6. So now here in 6th place, I have the Dallas Stars. And this is a good young team. But there's also a lot of old veterans on there. Guys like Alexander Radulov, Joe Pavelski, Jamie Benn getting up there in age as well. Just a team with a lot of their core from a few years ago really getting older. And Joe Pavelski obviously is a new guy on that team, but he is still 35, 36 years old. But some young guys to look forward to: Jason Robertson, Rupe Hintz, who had an excellent year last year, super underrated player for the Stars. Denis Gurianov, Joel Kiviranta, who I thought, he can play. We'll see how his development goes, but yeah, a lot of great guys on the forward core, and Tyler Sagan's going to be back as well this year, so that's something to look forward to. On the defensive side of things, you got Miro Heiskanen, who just signed a big new contract, John Klingberg, who's obviously a great offensive defenseman on this team, and Yanni Hakanpää, who is a newly acquired player as well off of free agency. And when it comes to goaltenders, Ben Bishop, again, injuries are going to be there, so your goaltending core is going to look like Hudobin and Ottinger, but I do believe Jake Ottinger is going to be a very good goalie this year, one of the top rookie goalies in the league. He played great last year, so really no reason to believe that he won't play good this year, but just a decent team. A lot of good young talent on the squad, but they just need time to develop before I put this team any higher than 6th. So let's move on to the 5th place team. And here at number 5, I have the Chicago Blackhawks. Now, Chicago, very interesting team. I think you could put them in a playoff spot, potentially 3rd or 4th, but I have them in 5th. I do just think that the young guys especially need a little bit more time to develop. This team has a lot of young players as well. They're doing a great job with the rebuild. They have guys like Kirby Dach, Alex DeBrincat, Dominic Kubalik, Dylan Strome, Henrik Borgstrom, Philip Kurashev, Brandon Hagel. All these guys are young, under 25 players, and I just think that this is a really, really good-looking team. It's for the future and even for now. They're going to be just sniffing a playoff spot, just outside. Free agent signings, they acquired Tyler Johnson from the Lightning in a trade, not a free agent signing, but Tyler Johnson. He can be a great middle six scorer for you, a guy who can put up 30 to 40 points with the right line mates. You're going to get Jonathan Taves back this year. He was dealing with some mental health problems, I believe. And on the defensive side of things, it is looking a bit weak, but they did bring in Jake McCabe and Seth Jones. And Seth Jones, obviously, a huge contract for him in the offseason after being acquired from the Blue Jackets for Adam Boqvist. Caleb Jones as well on this team, so you got both of the Jones brothers, and Caleb Jones was acquired from the Oilers for Duncan Keith. But again, just a decent defense core. I do see this as a pretty weak defensive core overall. I really don't see a lot of impressive players, and Seth Jones even can be very underwhelming as well, considering he's being paid $9.5 million. I didn't see anything in his game last year to see why he should get that money, but he is going to get that money. And in net, you have newly acquired Marc-Andre Fleury, who got backstabbed by Vegas Story, and also Kevin Lankinen, who had a good year last year as a rookie goaltender for the Hawks, had a great start, kind of sizzled down near the end, but still a great 1-2 combo, and great situation for Fleury as well. He doesn't have to play 60 games. He can split the time between them, but yeah, this is the 5th place team. Now let's move on to the first wildcard spot in this division. So here in the wildcard spot in the Central Division, the 4th place team, I have the St. Louis Blues, a team who lost a few players in the offseason, but also gained a few players, and I thought that St. Louis maybe got a little bit better in the offseason. They lost guys like Mike Hoffman and Vince Dunn, but they did bring in Pavel Buchnevich from the Rangers. That was a big trade. And on the defensive side of things, they really didn't do much of anything, but still a good defensive core nonetheless. I really like St. Louis's defensive core. But anyways, some headline guys on the forward core. Obviously, Pavel Buchnevich, who I mentioned, he's one to look out for. Robert Thomas, Jordan Kyrou, Klim Kostin, Ivan Barbashev. All these guys are young, up-and-coming players that I would look out for. You obviously got Ryan O'Reilly there as a first-line center. He's always amazing, and Braden Shen, I think, is a great second-line center. On the defensive things, you got Torrey Krug, Justin Falk. Great 1-2 combo right there. Both offensive-minded defensemen, but we'll see how that works out. I don't think that's a good pairing, but it is a pairing, to say the least. Scores you a lot of goals, gets you a lot of points. Second pairing, you got Colton Parayko, who I think he's very good on the defensive side of things. And then the rest of the defensive core is just kind of it's iffy, it's just there. But you got a really good top 3 defenseman right there. And on the goaltending side of things, you have Jordan Binnington, who kind of struggled last year. He didn't really have a great year. And backing him up is going to be Ville Husso, who really struggled last year, did not deserve the NHL job at all, I thought. But this is still a team that I think is worthy of a fourth place spot. But again, like I said, I think Chicago could easily snatch this spot up. I think even Dallas could slip into this spot. Even Nashville could slip into this spot. So it's really going to be a big wild card race for this 4th place spot. And who knows what the Pacific will do, but this 4th place spot might not even make the playoffs, even though I believe the Central Division could pretty easily have 2 wild cards this year, but St. Louis is the 4th place team, so let's move on to number 3. So a quick disclaimer before this team. The positioning of this team relies heavily on whether Kirill Kaprizov signs again with the Wild, but as I just said, Minnesota Wild is my 3rd place team. This is a team that really impressed me last year. Their formula really worked out for them. They did lose guys, and they bought out Ryan Suter and Zach Parise. But other than that, this is a pretty similar looking team to last season. You still got Foligno, you still got Eriksson Ek and Greenway, a big checking power forward kind of line. You got Kirill Kaprizov, Victor Rask. Kirill Kaprizov really helped Victor Rask last year. Victor Rask plays to that level this year. It'll be a good time. Matt Zuccarello. You got Matthew Boldy, who will probably step into the lineup. Ryan Hartman, Kevin Fiala. Just a lot of really great forwards, and even Nick Bukestad as well. I mean, there's just a lot of great defensive and offensive players on here, and this team just kind of works out. On the defensive side of things, you got Jonas Brodin, Matthew Dumba. Good 1-2 right there. Gulagosky and Spurgeon. I thought Minnesota really overpaid for Gulagosky, but we'll see how it works. It's only for 1 year. And then on that third pairing, you got John Merrill and Dmitry Kulikov. Kulikov, a newly acquired player. Same with Merrill. Decent bottom pairing. It's just kind of there. So going down to the goaltenders now, Cam Talbot, Kaapo Kähkönen. I think Kaapo Kähkönen can have a good breakout season this year. Cam Talbot played excellent last year. I don't think he's going to compete to the same level, but Kaapo Kähkönen, again, he was really impressive to me last year. He kind of slumped near the end of the year. But if he can kind of rejuvenate, if he can have a solid season the whole way through, then this is your new starter for the next 5 to 10 years pretty easily. So I really like this team. Again, this team is a really big boomer bust kind of team. Last year they boomed. This year, who knows, they might bust. But right now I have them in third. I do believe that this is a team with a lot of potential this year, and I'm really excited to see this Wild team step out on the ice. So let's see what the second place team is. In here at second, I have the Winnipeg Jets, and Winnipeg has arguably the best top six in the entire NHL. Such a good forward core they have, being headlined by guys like Kyle Connor, Scheifele, Wheeler, Ehlers, Stastny, Dubois. They even got Andrew Kopp, Adam Lowry, like just a lot of really great players on this forward core. And even when you get into the bottom six with guys like Kopp and Lowry and a guy like Riley Nash, who they just signed, it's a pretty good forward core. So a really good team here, and they're going to impress in the regular season no matter what. On the defensive side of things, they brought in Brendan Dillon from the Capitals. They gave them a couple second-round picks to acquire Dillon, and I think Dillon had a really good year in 2020, 2021. He's going to be a good defensive kind of two-way player for them. Neil Pionk, obviously, he got a big extension. He was really good last year on the offensive and an underrated defensive kind of side of things as well. You got Nate Schmidt, Josh Morrissey. Again, Nate Schmidt, another newly acquired defenseman for this Jets team. And then Dylan DeMello, Logan Stanley on that third pairing. So a pretty good defensive core, I would have to say. Definitely a better defensive core than I've seen in the past years. And in net, you have Connor Hellebuck and Eric Comrie. And again, Hellebuck, one of the best goaltenders in the world. Comrie, good backup, but we will see what happens this year with him. And you even got Brian Little on the injury reserve, so if Brian Little comes back, then that's another piece to put into the puzzle on that forward core. So just a really, really good, strong Jets team. They always perform in the regular season, but it really comes to playoff time when they kind of get exposed with that defensive core, and they just really don't work in the playoffs. But that's not the point. Regular season, this team's finishing second in the Central Division, so let's move on to the best team in the Central Division. And it should come as no surprise that my pick for the best team in the Central Division is going to be the Colorado Avalanche. What can I say? This team is just really good. Nathan MacKinnon, Gabriel Landeskog, Mikko Rantanen. One of the best first lines in the NHL, if not the best. Just such a great combo between those three guys. And even all throughout the lineup, you got Alex Newhook, who's going to be a great new rookie coming into that middle six this year. He can put up 40, 50 points, no problem, I believe. Valeri Nichushkin, one of the more underrated players in the NHL. Tyson Jost, who's still young enough to make something of his career. Nazem Kadri, 30-goal scorer. Andrei Burakovsky, who really rejuvenated his career in Colorado. I really do like this forward core in Colorado. It does get a little bit weak, kind of near the bottom, but that's past the point. It's top-heavy enough where this team's going to be good. I don't believe this is a Stanley Cup winning team, but still a good team nonetheless. On the defensive side of things, this is where things get really good. Devon Taves, Cale Makar, who just got a huge $9.5 million extension as well. Eric Johnson, Samuel Girard, and then Ryan Murray and Bowen Byram. This is such a great defensive core. Maybe the best in the NHL. Bowen Byram, it'll really depend on how he does. We'll see what he can do as a rookie. But yeah, I really like what I see from this defensive core. Really no standout bad players at all. There's really no bad players on this defensive core at all. They can all hold their own. Again, I don't know about Bowen Byram, but for the other five, it's going to be great. And in net, they went out and acquired one of my favorite goaltenders in the league, Darcy Kemper, and I think he is going to put up Vezina numbers. Kemper's going to be a Vezina finalist this year. I'm going to come out and say it. And they have my favorite backup in the league, Pavel Francouz, who I think is going to be just such a great number two. You can really rely on him on an off day, and man, this is going to be a good team. This is the best team in the Central Division, no doubt. But anyways, that is going to be it for this video, the Central Division predictions. If you guys enjoyed, please do hit the like button and subscribe, and I will see you all in the next one. But for now, bye.